Thousands of Malians, many chanting "Thank you, France," welcomed the French President, Francois Hollande, as he made a triumphant visit to the city of Timbuktu. French forces seized back control of the city from Islamist militants 6 days ago. A few moments ago, Mr. Hollande addressed more crowds in the Malian capital, Bamako.
Ville après ville, village après village.
Town after town, village after village, the armies of Mali and France, supported by countries from West Africa, are finally giving Mali back its unity, its integrity and its strength.
Well, also in Bamako, our international editor, Lindsey, Hilsum, how has his visit gone down?
Extremely well, the speech and the whole visit. He went on to say that he compared the fight against the jihadis with the struggle against colonialism, which was a very interesting thing to say, given that France was the colonial master here in Mali. And then he also talked about reconciliation, the need for reconciliation. Before he spoke, the Malian president, Yacounda Traoré, also spoke, and he punctuated his speech with cries of "Vive le Mali, vive la France." And I think that really did express the mood of the day here in Mali. The French president landed in Timbuktu this morning and was presented with a gift he may not have been expecting. The camel seemed less enthusiastic than most Malians about the visit. Maybe it doesn't fancy a new life in the Élysée Palace. Once in Timbuktu, Francois Hollande was mobbed. The French flag was everywhere, and everyone wanted to thank him, to be near him, to show how they see France as their saviour. Surely he would never get such a reception back home. People here know that Malian troops couldn't have ousted the Islamists without French intervention. He visited the Centre for Historic Islamic Manuscripts, some of which were destroyed when the jihadis set fire to it before fleeing the town. But most of the manuscripts have been saved. French troops have been welcomed in Mali, but those regarded as liberators one day may be seen as occupiers the next. The president seemed keen to emphasize that once the French have secured all the northern towns, Malian troops, backed by other African forces, will have to play the decisive role.
Le combat n'est pas terminé.
The fight is not over, and it would be a mistake to think that, just because we've been able, together with our Malian friends, to make cities like Gao and Timbuktu safe. The Malian authorities, and this is their responsibility, want to regain the territorial integrity that had been taken away from them. So we will be helping them to finish this operation.
In Bamako, the capital, people assembled hours before he arrived. Independence Square is named for independence from France, but no one seemed to be resenting the old colonialists today.
Vive la France!
Why do you want to see the French president?
But I'm happy. I want to tell him hello. He welcome in Mali.
Il est bien. Il est tellement gentil. France est là.
We're coming here because we want to be free. And now we want to return because Timbuktu is free now. I want to return and my life.
It was a triumphant visit for Francois Hollande, but this intervention is only 3 weeks old. The jihadis have been killed or forced to flee, but that won't be an end of it.
Hollande! Hollande! Hollande!
Everyone loves him now, but this could yet turn out to be a long and costly campaign.
Well, Lindsey, is France going to leave it to the Africans?
Well, this is the theory, but while Francois Hollande was very keen today to play the diplomatic line, this will be African-led. The fact is that the African troops do not have a good record of peacekeeping. There were human rights abuses when they were doing that in Sierra Leone and Liberia. And one of their main problems is logistics. If you can't feed your soldiers, then they prey upon the local population. So that is where the French, also the British, maybe the Americans, will be essential in helping with logistics in those practical ways. We may not see many French troops on the streets of these Malian cities for very long, but they will need to be there in a backup role if this is going to succeed.
And Lindsey, you've been there really since the beginning of this French intervention and watched its remarkable progress. What are your thoughts now back in the the capital? Because the nagging question for outsiders here, watching from here, is always, is this another Afghanistan in the making?
Well, I think that the reason the French intervened was to stop it being an Afghanistan, because they certainly felt, and the British government also felt, that allowing the jihadis, al-qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, that space in northern Mali, that was allowing them to use it as a base from which they could have attacked Europe. But obviously, any kind of, inverted commas, liberation can end up as an occupation, and that is what is very difficult. I think what I really think about now is how weak is the Malian state. This was supposed to be a democracy, but the Malian state was never really able to function properly. And also, from Malian people, I hear so much vitriol against the Tuareg people, whose rebellion started this. And my great fear is that that call which Francois Hollande made for reconciliation will go unheeded.
In Bamako, Lindsey Hilsum, thank you very much.